So let's have a bit of fun today as I show you how I would interpret the electronic programmed drums on the song Take On Me by a-ha, drummed by Paul Waaktaar. I'm obviously pronouncing that completely wrong. So, as I said, the drums are programmed, and so this is my interpretation of them. That's what I've written at the top of the chart, that's what I stand by. So, because it's programmed, you've got all kinds of clever stuff going on with the hi-hat, you've got some weird accent stuff going on, we've got overdubs with, I think, a tambourine halfway through the song of some sort, or shaker, I can't remember quite what it was. But then also you've got these overdub drum, toms and snare drums, and so what I've done for you is taken out, especially when it comes to the drum fills, what I think is most like the recording. The bass drum parts and the snare drum parts, the backbeats, all very simple. You can hear that clearly. And it really is a bass drum workout. Your single foot's got to be very, very comfortable. So we don't start off that trickily. Trickily, is that a word? We start off with a relatively simple drum beat, but 169 BPM, quite a fast song. So our hi-hat's going by this speed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the tempo we got to keep it up with. So the bass drum for the 2 bars is 2-bar pattern to start off with. We get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Very simple. It's just obviously at the tempo of the song. So we get that that 2-bar pattern being played 4 times, so 8 bars in total. Then we go into the second line where we get the same 2 bars being repeated there, but the last 2 bars we get our first drum fill in bar 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. So just 3 and 4 and. There's 2 snare drums. And then we go into the next line and notice that a crash cymbal isn't always played when we change into a new section after a drum fill. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't, almost a random way. So when we go to the third line, notice there's no crash cymbal there. But then we go into a new drum beat. Which kind of follows the did. I think it's that part of the keyboard. We get, is it a 2-bar pattern? It is kind of a 2-bar pattern. We get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So a lot of bass drums darting around on the ands there. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. It is a 2-bar pattern, but bar 4, we get a simplified version. We don't get the 3 and 4, we just get 3, 4. So the full 4-bar pattern, 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. By the way, I've got the full PDF drum chart you can download from my website for free. You'll find a link beneath this video, all 3 pages of the song printed out for you, or written out for you. You can have this printed out in front of you. Hopefully as we go through this lesson together, it's going to make things a lot easier for you to understand if you've got some visual reference. So, we get that 4-bar pattern being played twice, 8 bars in total. So then on to the 4th line, and we get our first crash cymbal in the song. What you tend to do with these types of things when you're playing this sort of tempos, you don't feel the need to play the hi-hat straight after the crash cymbal, even though you hear it on the recording. So this is my first sort of interpretation here, where I play 1 and 2, 3, 4 and. It gives your right hand a little bit of a break, even if it's just for 1/8 note, but don't feel the need to rush the hi-hat for after the crash cymbal for the and a beat 1. 1 and 2, you could play 1 and 2, especially at this tempo. That crash cymbal is going to fill out all the space. So we get this more spacious drum beat where in the first bar we don't get the bass drum on the and a beat 2. We get all 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So more space there with the bass drum. The next 2 bars we get a rather cool idea. We get 1 and 2, 3, 4 and. So the first of all, hi-hat articulation I thought was important to include. By the way, earlier in this, well, throughout the song, I think it's every 4 bars you get this accented hi-hat on the and of 4. Which, something like that, maybe it's every 2 bars, every 4 bars. You could include that kind of stuff if you wanted to, but this is already complicated enough with the tempo and the bass drum. And you know, no one's really going to miss it. And if you're at that sort of level anyway, you can sort of include that stuff by yourself, work out what works for you. But anyway, this next hi-hat articulation I thought was important. It's an open hi-hat. So we get 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and the and of 4, 4 and 1. Hi-hat closes on its own, gives another little space for your right hand. And then coming back in with the hi-hat on the and of 1, 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and, which is lovely. But then we go into verse 1 where we get these 3 bass drums in a row, our first example of this. So we're actually going to get 5 bass drums in a row going into verse 1. No crash cymbal as well. So I'll play 2 bars for you again, then we'll go into verse 1. 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3. I missed out the drum fill. 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. We're going to do that in a second. Bit faster. I actually included the hi-hat on beat 1 just because I felt like it. So you could do the same if you wanted to. So, as I said, we then go into verse 1 with 3 bass drums in a row. We start to get these bass drums falling with the snare drums. Now, if you want to make this simpler for yourself, any time in a song you get a bass drum falling with the snare drum, you could leave it out. So instead of playing, you could play. No one's really going to miss that bass drum note. It's on the recording, it's 1 and 2, but you could play 1 and on the bass drum instead of playing all 3 notes. So you could play instead of, okay. So we then got a new drum beat, 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 on the and of 2 and 3 this time. And that drum beat gets repeated again for the next 2 bars. Except at the end of the 4th bar, we get our next 4 bass drums in a row, or our first 4 bass drums in a row. We get and 1 and 2. It links into the next set of 2 bars. So the first 4 bars, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2. Again, last time I mentioned it, you could play and 1 and 2 if you can't play 4 bass drums in a row. And you might have a little bit of a break with your bass drum foot. So that 4 bars get repeated again. Then we go into the next line, verse 1, just 4 bars. We get 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Then our next drum fill, 1 and 2, 3, and I've written the snare drum on its own because you want time for your right hand to come up to a crash cymbal. So we get 1 and 2, 3, 4 and the crash cymbal on the and the beat 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2. And in the last bar we get, I've written it with the hi-hat on the and of 1, but you could come back in with the hi-hat on beat 2 instead. We get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 3 and 4 and I think on the recording, it's kind of like the beat 4 has a tom on it, or it sounds like a tom, but the snare drum is also there, so I decided to play, again this is my interpretation of the drum fill, I decided to play 3 and 4 and 1. And we do go into a crash going into our first chorus. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3. And I've written there, as we go into the second, no hi-hat on the and of beat 1. So, those last 2 bars, 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, into our chorus. 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Again, I left out a little hi-hat there accidentally on the and of beat 1. So let me now play for you up to speed what we got. I want to play the first line because it's all very similar. I'll start on the second line of the intro line 2, 3 and 4, and then both lines of verse 1 up to speed of up the microphone so you can hear just the drums. Here we go. So then for the chorus, we get more of a sort of a dance beat going on where we get the bass drum pumping on all 4 beats, but we still get those occasional 1 and 2 every 4 bars. So we get 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. So it's a 4-bar pattern repeated like that without the crash cymbal in the second half. Then we get my favourite part of the song. Again, on the recording, you can hear like some sort of hi-hat pattern being played over the top of it. But I thought it's more important to get those flams comfortable and to give it sort of a rockier feel where you're coming off the hi-hat, you're playing like a half-time fill. So it's 1 and 2 and 3, flam on beat 3, 1 and 2, 3, then 4 bass drums and 1 and 2, 3, 4. So 1 and 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Then 1 and 2, 3, but straight afterwards 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and snare and crash, 1 and 2. Again, that crashing on the and, a beat 4. And then the next bar, no hi-hats, we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, another example of where you're sort of hearing some toms being played on beat 4, but I can still hear that flam snare drum on beat 4, so I thought that would be the more important thing. You could play flam, the high tom and snare drum on beat 4. Maybe that would sound a little bit more like the recording, but again, you want to go into a crash, and if you do accidentally, absolutely fine, but on the recording there is no crash for whatever reason after that drum fill, probably because it was programmed by a non-drummer. I presume he's a non-drummer. I think he plays guitar or bass. So we get, for that line, really cool, I like this part of the song, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Into the last part of the chorus where we go back to our dance beat. The third line there, bars 3 and 4, we get 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So there's those 3 notes, both halves of the bar. And then we go into verse 2. But before we do, let me now play for you chorus 1. So starting halfway through the first line of chorus 1, we don't have to play all 8 bars, you get a bit repetitive. Halfway through line 1, and then lines 2 and 3. Here we go. So we pretty much got all the sections of the song now. It's just a case of looking out for some of the drum fills. So verse 2 is exactly the same structure as verse 1, except the drum fill at the end. So the second line of verse 2, third bar, second line, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and. It starts the same there in bar 3. Then we get and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And you could play 3 and, but I've written it 3 and 4, just to give you right hand time to move to either the high tom or the floor tom, especially if you're playing on a normal kit, you want to get over to the floor tom. And does it go into a crash? Probably not. Oh, it does go into a crash this time. Okay. So that last line of verse 2 there, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4, into our chorus, and I missed the crash cymbal. You could include it as a recording does. So chorus 2, more of the same stuff. Line 2, that cool breakdown section. Then we get bar 3 into 4, a new drum fill. Every time he plays the chorus is played, there's a different drum fill at the end. So we get 1 from bar 3, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's what I'm hearing. Loads of bass drums in a row, and 1 and 2 and then just 3 and 4 and. I've written the high tom. You could play the floor tom instead if you think it sounds more lower. And then into the last 4 bars of the chorus. So bars 3 and 4 again. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what I'm hearing on the recording. Lots of bass drums in a row there. Then we got the keyboard solo, which is basically our intro again. So we got our simplified 2-bar drum beats. Same for the next line. Bar 4, though, we get 1 and 2, 3, 4, and then we get this 4-bar break. So bars 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, keyboard on its own. Then we come back in with a drum fill in the last bar there. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and I've written it without the hi-hats. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1 and 2, 3, and 4, into our third line of the intro, basically. Let me just check something. It looks like they just literally took the intro drum recorded part, because it's what we programmed, and they've just repeated it, but with that extra 4-bar break of silence. So it's exactly the same as our intro. So I won't go over that. Yeah, even the crash cymbals there. Verse 3, we've gone over the verses. Line 2, though, something interesting happens. Our first set of 16th notes. Ooh. We get bar 3, 1 and 2 and 3. So 3 is the last hi-hat note you play. 1 and 2 and 3. And then it's kind of 3 tom notes, but the snare drum pops out on beat 4. So I think that's more important to include. And a 4. So I use the high tom so my right hand's comfortable to come down to the snare. 1 and 2, 3 and a 4 and. And I definitely play the crash with my left hand, because my right hand doesn't have the time, or I could, but it's more comfortable, and I feel comfortable playing with my left hand. Hopefully you do too. So I think it's a skill that most drummers should be able to be comfortable with, playing, a snare and a bass and crash together with the left hand. So 1 and 2, 3 and a 4 and 1. Skip over beat 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I've written it the floor tom this time. 4 and could be the high tom if you wanted to. 4 and 1 and 2 into our next chorus. So we get 1 and 2, 3 and a 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Take on me. We then go into chorus 3. I'll play it up to speed for you in a moment. Look out for some extra stuff here. In bar 4, 5, 6, we get 1, 2, 3, 4 and. A little extra snare drum on the and a beat 4. The end of that line, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and. It's 3 and 4 and. Another little surprise drum fill there perhaps. And then the next line is exactly the same as the middle of chorus 1. So we've gone over that structure already. Before we go over to the next page, the last page, though, let me play that little cool drum fill at the end of verse 3. So the second line of verse 2, and then for fun, let's do the whole of chorus 3 as well. Well, it's not quite the whole of chorus 3 because it continues on to page 3 there, where we basically got our outro, and just some extra stuff to look out for. Bar 5, 6 has the 4 and drum fill again, and then bar 8 has a surprise. The only time it's used, apart from the very end before it fades out, 1, 2, 3, and 4 the and. That's what I'm hearing. Right, left, right. For the and, that's all it is. Then we go on, next line, very standard, then where it completely fades out, we get two last little surprises. We get 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Snare and crash on beat 4. Leave the rest of the bar empty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Come back in bar 3, but look out for this. the snare drum changes in bars 3 and 4. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, 3. So the snare drum backbeat drops out in bar 3 on beat 4, and then comes in on the and of 2 and the and of 4 in bar 4, offbeat snare drums, and then it resolves back to 2 and 4 in the next set of 4 bars. So the first 4 bars, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, see, I did it. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1 and 2, 3, 4. Bar 6, 4, 5, yep, has the 4 and drum fill. And then before it completely fades out, where it becomes too hard for me to hear what's going on, I hear a drum fill at the end. And then it completely fades out. So let me now play for you that last line with some cool little surprises in it, up to speed. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you've got any questions, feel free to email me, rob@drumstheword.com. Don't forget you can download the free PDF from our website. Again, the link is beneath this video. Just go over to the website and click the link, and then you can save it to your computer or you can print it out, whatever you like. And while you're over there, you might want to check out what I offer for my members online through the website. But until our next drum lesson together, toodle pip and happy drumming to you. If you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comments below. And you can watch my other free drum lessons by clicking the links on the screen now. Alternatively, if you want to learn how to play literally hundreds of famous and popular songs in full, from start to finish, and including the fully transcribed sheet music, then check out my website drumstheword.com for further details. Thanks for watching.